August is Women's Month, and we at the station are showcasing powerful and resilient women. These are people who have gone through incredible trauma or change in their life, and they have come back better and stronger. This is Beautiful Makeup. Ntshantshas Tafeni and I have been friends since probably forever, and she runs an organic cosmetic company. But that was the beginning of her dream. Since then, she's gone on to run several more companies, and what I love about Ntshantshas is how she has never let the challenges of being a woman in business be anything more than encouragement for her. Watch this. Ntshantshas, the first time I met you, we were promoting a new little shopping centre.
Oh, yes, actually.
And we all had such high hopes for it.
Yeah.
And I think you are the sole survivor. But what I loved the most when I met you is how enchanting your product was, because you were so passionate about it and you built it from the very, very bottom up. So tell me about Yavani Naturals.
The company started 2011, and I spent about 3 years into new product development. And why the company started was, my background, as you know, is marketing. So I worked for companies like Nestle, Parmalat, Edgar's and all of that, doing brand management and marketing management. And I've always known at the back of my mind that one day I'll have my own brand. I just didn't know what at the time. But I knew that one day I will have my own thing and I'll have my own brand. So when I decided to jump ship, 2007, I was working for Edgar's and then I jumped ship. And I was looking for something, I was yearning for something. And I looked. When I started, I just started doing anything that's marketing and just setting it up and training people there.
But that wasn't your passion?
Yes, that wasn't my passion at all. I was just doing it to put food on the table. And I did it for a few years up until then the recession came.
Yeah.
So as a consultant, you'll present this beautiful story and the companies would say, okay, how are we supposed to pay you? Yeah. We are already retrenching people, so we can't afford, or we can't have a consultant. So I then had to diverse again and start something else.
But isn't it amazing how out of adversity, creativity can grow?
Exactly.
Because you started doing something, as you say, in a recession where starting a new business should be a terrible idea.
Yep. Yeah.
And also starting a business about which you knew very little at the time should be a terrible idea, and yet you made it flourish. So how did that start?
When you have no choice, you make things happen. I had no choice, my back was against the wall. So how I started this, when we are desperate, you sit down and it forces you to think. So something that was staring at my face that I was not aware about was my love for natural healing and my knowledge for natural healing.
Why did you have that? Where had that come from? Had you always had it?
I've always had it. I grew up in the Eastern Cape, in a village in Ilbode. A small town, very small town. Most people don't know about it. With my grandmother, and as you know, in our communities, mothers and fathers, they go and work, and I didn't have a father. I only had a mother who had to go and work so that we can go to school. So my grandmother was my mother. So I grew up with her, and she was a staunch believer of natural healing. By natural healing, it's the simple stuff. When you have a headache, and then she sends you to the garden to get a herb to treat the headache. When you have a tummy ache, same thing. When you've cut yourself, when you've even burned yourself. I remember the other time my cousin brother burned me terrible on my knee, and I was never taken to the doctor. There was something that was done, herbs with ash and whatever, and it healed me. So I grew up knowing about those things. They were cheap, they were convenient, and also they worked. So this is how then the seed was planted. So, and then I grew up. I went to school, I went to varsity, then I thought I was clever.
Got a grown-up job.
Yeah, exactly. So now, doing that and getting that was a problem. So I then, like everybody else, decided to use pills, to use this, to use that, the conventional stuff that has chemicals, and I forgot about natural stuff.
Wow.
So when this then change happened, I was like, you know what? I know that I love natural healing. There might be a gap in there. Let me just see if there's a gap, and if there's a gap, what is it? So I knew the question that I had in my head was, why did, especially in the Black communities, why did we stop using natural healing? Because it was something that was effective, it was something that was, cheap, and so most of the time you don't even pay for these things. You just...
When you think about how much we spend on skincare and natural healing.
Exactly.
And we go and buy these incredible overseas organic products that cost a fortune, and just in terms of shipping, it's eye-watering.
Yes.
And all the time it's in the back garden here and we don't see it or know of it.
When I do my presentations and I'm talking to people, I say, now we're paying a lot of money for the word organic. Whilst everybody grew up with this thing, you still, you can go in your garden now. There's a lot of organic stuff that you can use that you're not even paying for it.
Yeah.
But because now they've given it a word, and now it's a new thing, and it's a trend.
It's going to be certified.
Exactly, it's going to be certified. It's going to be, yes. So then I then went and I did a lot of research to check, why did we stop using it? And I got two things, which were my reasons anyway for stopping it.
Okay.
It was the convenience. The first one was convenience. If you've grew up in a semi-rural area, in a farm, in a township, you find these things anywhere. You don't have to buy them, and you find them and you use them. But now that we've moved from those areas, now where I stay, I wouldn't have it. I'll have to go maybe to downtown or to Marabastad or whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, it's just not, it's difficult to get there. And
time consuming.
The second thing was the stigma that we've put in the use of things. I'll make an example. My concept is based on Impepo. And Impepo has got such a stigma in the Black communities because it is associated with Sangoma, with Muti, and all of that. In the meantime, it's such a powerful herb that anybody could use it, and it's a cleanse, it's a calming herb, but people don't know about that. So I was like, okay, I've got these two problems that need a solution: the convenience and also the stigma that we've attached to it. For instance, if you then come to my house and you find a shrub of Impepo in my bathroom, you run away. You're like, I'm not going back there, Ntshantshas and all of that. But if the same shrub, I take it and I put it in a nice bottle and I brand it, I'll still put Impepo and I'll put everything, but it will be nicely packaged. It will be, and then you will take it from the bathroom and come to the kitchen or to the lounge and say, Ntshantshas, where did you get this? I would like to find it. So this is where then the concept started. I knew that it was going to be a very, very long journey because I needed to start educating people to go back to use natural healing.
How did you go back? Because your granny was sending you into the garden to get the different herbs, and you boil this and you steep that, and but you hadn't kept it up yourself as much. So
I hadn't.
So you were doing your research on the stigma, on branding, on why that was the gap in the market. But how did you remember how to make it?
I still have a lot of friends and family in the Eastern Cape. And part of my research and my journey was going back there to find out, what else is there? How did I made calls? I traveled, and I also had, as I'm saying, I also had friends as well that grew up using these things. So I was talking to a lot of people to say how, what, and what was fortunate was that I now didn't have to put them together. The decision that I made was to use pure essential oils rather than herbs, to start using pure essential oils. And I'll tell you why. Because of the convenience, and also because I knew that I didn't have to start the oil from scratch.
Yes.
And I also as well wanted to modernize these herbs now. So if you take it as a herb and you modernize it, then you are able to get a lot of people in the market, So that was, I was like, this is Impepo, it as Impepo, but now we need to modernize it.
Okay.
We now need to, to get it in a different format.
That's what I was going to ask you next. So you say people know Impepo.
Yes.
but what do they know about it, and what are they learning from you and from these products?
Impepho is a herb that is traditionally used as an incense. Because it is a calming herb, they use it to cleanse and calm the environment so that it's easy to channel. But they don't use it to channel. Yeah. They don't use it to, to expel the bad spirit and all of that. Impepho is such a powerful herb for to calm, like lavender, like chamomile, like sage and all of that. You can also use it to cleanse as well, to cleanse the space. The medicinal benefits of Impepho, there's a lot of them. For instance, it is an anti-inflammatory. It is a calming herb, like I had said. It would, because it's a calming herb, then it is very good for headaches, for migraine, for sleeping.
And people don't know this.
They don't, for sleeping. So I had to go and learn a lot about Impepho's medicinal benefits so that I can use it in the skin range. I can use it in the healing range as well. When I say healing, I do massage oils. Yes. Massage oils are for healing things like joint pains, arthritis, insomnia, cold and flu, and all of that, and even just pain, as a sports rub and all of that. So I had to know what are the benefits of that. And then also it is a very good moisturizer, nourishing, and so that is why in each and every product that I make, then it has Impepho, but for medicinal benefits.
And I love it. I slapped it on everything. I remember when I first met you and you came with this huge basket of stuff, and it was the first time we'd ever fought over who was going to get what. Once you discovered everything.
Yes.
And you had worked out what you were going to use and how you were going to market it in such a way that people weren't thrown by it, they were excited by it. What is the next step? Because the range, the industry you decided to go into is a very competitive one.
It is.
It's not like you suddenly found a niche that no one else was doing. No. You found a tiny gap in an enormous market.
Yeah. People would say, oh, you're getting to cosmetics. Oh, this industry is saturated and, there's big companies. How are you going to, compete with the big companies? The price competition and, the price wars, and also then the cheap alternatives that are coming from India, from China, and all of that.
So lots of reasons not to do it.
Exactly.
And they've all got the list of why not to.
Why not to do. Exactly. Of why not to. There's a huge pie out there for cosmetics. Anybody in this room uses cosmetics. And you don't just use one. You use 3, 4, 5 different types of cosmetics. You use hair, for face, for body, for feet, and massage oils and all of that.
Yes.
So each and every month you have to go and stock. So my job is to just make sure that in those 13 things that you use in a day, just one is a Ivani, even if it's a lip balm. It's difficult to bring in something that people don't know about, that you need to educate. But once you find that niche, once you work on that niche, once people, latch on it, then you've got it. Anybody grew up using herbs.
Yes.
You can call it something else, but you grew up using them. You can call Impepho as a sage because other people call it's a sage. It's not, actually, it's not sage, but, it's still Impepho and people use it. If you
drank honey and lemon and ginger tea as a child for a sore throat, you grew up using herbs.
Exactly. You grew up using herbs. So everybody has done that. So this is why I know that my story is not a black story, it's a South African story. And this is the story that I want to take it out there. And when I've grown and I've got some funding, I need to take it to the continent. I don't want to just be a South African story. I would like to go to Zimbabwe and say, what is the herb that you use for this? And then I would create a Zimbabwean story in the range. And I'll go for, already I'm using stuff from Nigeria and Ghana, which is the shea butter, which is the black soap, which is, all those indigenous things that they use for hair. The hennas, the kakas, the chebe oils and all of that. So already in that space, I'm already there. But I would love to go to other countries as well and see what is it that the continent have.
Why do you think, as a continent, we don't celebrate more of what we have. And for me, I discovered African black soap purely by accident through your range.
Yes.
And now, I mean, my son is a teenage boy, and that's all he uses.
Wow.
Because it just works, and it's not expensive.
Yes. It is not expensive.
Do you think we get wedded to the idea that unless something's very expensive, it doesn't work?
We don't believe that whatever that we do with our hands is good enough.
Yeah.
We believe that somebody else is, whatever that somebody else has done and brought it here is better. People believe that if it comes outside of the continent, it must be better. And those products, by the way, they're not expensive. They are cheaper than what we make in the country. So it doesn't have anything to do with the cost. Besides that, we just need to believe that what we do here is good enough, and we then support it.
See, it goes back to what you were saying about education.
Yes.
That people need to know. And it's difficult to get that kind of knowledge out there because you're competing with so much.
Something else as well that is happening, there's a huge trend that is growing out there is the world has woken up to what we have in the continent.
Yes.
And
is coming to take.
Exactly. The world is coming to take. Already, shea butter is no longer a West Eastern African story. You know, they've taken it out of our hands. And the black soap is got that now as well. And other herbs as well, you know. And we sell them here for nothing to them. And they take it, they process it a little bit, and then they send it back to us and sell it double the price.
It's like rooibos, isn't it?
Yes.
Here we spend very little on it.
Yes.
And overseas they call it red bush tea, and they charge a fortune.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So twice I've been to Nigeria in Lagos, and part of what I do, I told I use a lot of shea butter in my products because I do natural and organic products. The first time I went there, I did my shea butter, the plain one, and also one that I've scented it with some oils. Smells beautiful. And so I just took shea butter and I packaged it differently.
Yeah.
And I took it there. I probably took about 20 units with me. I'm telling you, that's the product that went first. And I'm like, I wasn't going to take, my reasoning was that I can't take calls to Newcastle.
Yes.
You know, because Nigeria is the home of shea butter.
Yes.
So I'd rather take other products. But that's the product that they bought. And I asked them, I'm like, okay, guys, what's wrong with you? Why are you buying this?
Yes.
Because this is the product now.
Yeah.
And they still came back the following day. They're like, we want that, we want that, we want 10 of these. And I'm like, I didn't bring a lot because I thought, you know, and that's the same thing that we were talking about earlier, because they don't believe in their processing. They like, okay, you know what, we don't believe that we process enough here. We don't believe in our processing systems and this and that. In the meantime, I buy this from them and I believe it. I buy from them and I believe it. I just take it and I just process it differently. So this is what I was talking about earlier, that we still have a huge job of just, you know, educating people to say, if this is shea butter, and if South Africa can buy this shea butter from you, then it means it's good enough. If the UK and the US can buy, it means it's good enough for you as well.
Well, what I want to move on to now is your marketing, because if we go back to black soap, it's really ugly. And the way to get it is in chunks. You literally, you go somewhere and you go into a market and they chop it up into chunks and it looks like glue, brown glue.
Yeah, it does.
And it comes with a warning, which is you need to dry it after you use it. Otherwise you end up with brown sludge all over the bath.
You do,
It looks like something else completely. But it is the most miraculous product.
Yeah.
So how do you take something that is miraculous but ugly and make it desirable without taking away from the ingredients and the character of the product? How did you do that?
Once people get to know about the history of the black soap and they've used it, they seriously don't mind that inconvenience. Actually, staunch believers of black soap, they want it looking like a brick. They want it looking that funny, because then once you take it and you modernize it, then it loses the authenticity of black soap.
So I know what it is and you know what it is. But for people watching this, what is black soap?
So long before we were introduced to the life boys and them, people used to use ash, you know, to wash. So you take ash, you put it in the water, and it foams. And it's the best detergent. It's the best, yes, antiseptic and all of that. So people would use that as soap. And then some, they would even use it to brush teeth and. So it was used a long time ago. However, then women in the rural areas in East and West Africa, what they did in Nigeria, it originated actually in Nigeria. What they would do, they will take, they have a fruit they call plantain.
Yes.
It looks like a banana. So they take that fruit, they'll dry it, they'll burn it, and they'll then make ash out of that. Why they would use this peel? It's because it's got all the essential nutrients for the skin. Things like vitamin E, vitamin A, D, it's natural sunblock, and all of that. So they took that and use it because of that. So what they will do, they will take this, they will, mix it with shea butter. Coconut oil is, it's a natural surfactant.
Yeah.
So you could, even when you're using natural soap, then you use coconut oil because then it foams. Then it's got variations now. So they will use honey, they will use lemon, they will use camwood. Camwood powder, it's another very important powder that's from a bark. So what they would use, it was used for a baby's first birth. Oh. So when the baby is born, it's got all those things on the skin, and they'll just take that and make a scrub or a mask, and they'll put it all over the baby, and then they'll leave it for about 15 minutes, and then after that, then they wash it, and the baby will never have, things like eczema and all those funny skin conditions that baby has. So they will use this for the black soap as well. So it's got all this host of good medicinal herbs and oils. That's what makes black soap.
And it's cheap.
It is so cheap. And I mean, I was very lucky to to get to know a lady from Nigeria. They came with the husband to South Africa, but they were in transit to go to the US. But they ended up staying in South Africa for about 10 years. And one of my big suppliers of shea butter didn't have shea butter for 2 weeks. Then I got frustrated and I went to Google and I got a company and I saw this is a black lady, let me just call her. And I called her and she was like, I'm from, where are you? I'm in Campton Park. I got into the car, then I went. And, that was a blessing for me because we then got, such rapport, a relationship and stuff. And he said that they were still planning to move to the US anyway. She was selling the stuff from her own garage. She was staying in the US.
Okay.
So then few years down the line, she goes to the US for a holiday. She comes back in Jan. She's like, Ntshantshas, decided September, my children are starting in the US. We are moving. Oh, wow. Then she sends me an SMS, says she's selling the company. And I was like, But at the time, I was talking to a guy that I had met in Nigeria. Okay. He wanted to bring a shea butter to South Africa and he wanted a distributor. But because my hands are full with Ivan, I hadn't thought about this properly. So now, then she's already selling shea butter and she's selling the company. So I was like, maybe this is a God's way for me to get into this industry. So besides now that I'm doing finished product, I'm also now in selling the natural and organic ingredients.
You are all about female empowerment. I mean, ever since I've known you, that's what you've always worked on, upliftment. And whenever something good has happened for you, you've tried to work out how you can ripple it out to others.
Yes.
And I often feel as women, we are sometimes so afraid of each other's power and each other's success that instead of going, can I please learn from you? Or is there something you can learn from me? We tend to almost silo ourselves up.
Yes.
And so we're sitting here talking about stuff that I use and that you make. And full disclosure, you don't pay me to say that. I just love your stuff.
I know.
So
I really appreciate it.
No, but I love it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I've got my kids onto it as well. So now how do you take what I know and I love and turn that into something that's mainstream?
There's seriously a trend shift from conventional to natural and then organic.
Yeah.
People now have started reading ingredients on the labels of products that they use.
Yeah.
And that's my market. And I know it's not going to be everybody for now, but I know that that industry is growing. And I was very fortunate that I got into it whilst it was starting. By the time it grows, then I need to be there. So what makes my journey to be a bit long and hard is that because I have to follow the growth
Yes.
of that market and that industry. And I am not frustrated that much, besides that it hits me in the pocket. Because
Still a big frustration.
it is, yeah, it's still a big frustration. Because I know that, there's something in there.
Yeah.
And I know that, people that believe in it, they don't need to be convinced. Another huge growing trend of online and digital marketing.
Yes.
So people buy online and they want to sit on their desk and they will buy. So I want Ivani and also Daolis Organic Products to be, very key and main on online. People sit and they must sit and they must be able to buy the product online. They don't have to go into a physical store to be able to get my products.
You're way ahead of the curve. If I can just press click and send my address and use my
exactly. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm in a space where there's a lot of people that are coming to buy the raw ingredients, and they want to know, what can I use for my hair? What can I use for this? How do I mix this? I want to start my business. Where do I start? So I find that I spend a lot of time, mentoring and giving, talks to people on how to start a business and what I think works. What are the things to do? What are the things not to do? I can help you to make your own product. I can help you to formulate your own product. And there's generic formulations as well that you can get on internet. There's this, there's that. But the only thing that I can help you to do is how to mix this in order that it doesn't separate. How to mix this in order that it doesn't change color. Yeah. How to mix this in order that, it doesn't need to stay in the fridge, so that, because that's another thing when you're mixing natural products.
Yeah.
If you don't preserve them, then they need to stay in the fridge. It goes off, exactly. So we can start there.
Someone's watching this and saying, yes, but she has a background in marketing and she was consulting and she had this incredible job beforehand and she knew all this stuff, because they're kind of like legit excuses, but they're still excuses. And I don't know if I could do that, and I don't have and I do a bit of baking after school, and what do you say to somebody who's got a little dream but is busy banging it down with a big hammer because they're scared?
There's nothing that is impossible. And right enough, it costs money. Right enough, if you have relevant experience, you can do this. However, those people have mixed something before. You earlier on, you were talking about drinking hot water with lemon and ginger and honey. You can sell that, by the way, as a cold and flu recipe. Yeah. You can sell that. So everybody is able to make something, and everybody is able to sell something. If you've got family, if you've got a few friends, you start there before you go. So the only thing that you need to do is to be able to mix a product that works. And you start the product with you. And once people see your skin, they'll be like, oh, what are you using on your skin? Can you mix it for me? Or can you share? What are you using on your hair? This is how people start. I really, really started from my own pocket. And I'm still, doing this from my own pocket, by the way. And starting from your own pocket is hard. Sure. And what I advise people that I mentor is that if you are working, don't jump ship up until your business is growing and it can sustain you. So start while you are working. I mean, when I worked for big companies, I saw people selling Environ, selling Tupperware, selling AMC and all of that. Yeah. You can start your own brand. It doesn't have to be, those products, Herbalife. It has to be, you can do that on your own product. You have your own cooler bag that you take to work and people can buy from you, and you grow your company like that. A lot of people have started like that, their own brands and their own companies like that. So don't think about starting as big as, as somebody who knows. And the other thing is to just inform and research. Learn about what you're wanting to do And I talked about internet earlier.
Yeah.
There's a lot of knowledge in there. There's a lot of companies that are teaching people how to do this, how to do that, what not to do. If you start there already, you are like 50% ahead of what you're trying to do.
Biggest lesson?
Wow. Passion. If you are passionate about what you do, people see it. Because, it's something that you love, and you make sure that, you do, and you're giving it your all. Just passion alone, it takes you very, very far. And then don't focus on the money. I know money is very crucial. But if you start with being passionate about it, money just rolls in and comes in. And also, do not work alone. There's a lot of help out there. As women, we tend to be scared of other women.
Yes, I agree.
We tend not to be open to go and ask for help. There's a belief. I was listening to a radio show when I was driving here about women not supporting each other, women pulling each other down, women this.
But we don't have to do that. There's enough to go around.
There's enough to go around. However, as well, as much as that is a huge belief, I've been helped by women.
Me too.
I've been helped by women. There's a lot of women out there that are always eager to help and support. So I said earlier on that I'm one person that always look at things this way. Since my school days, I've been surrounded by women, and I've been on a lot of things. I've been helped by women. So let's not believe that in such a way that we are scared to talk to each other. Let's talk to other women. I mean, I'm here today, and because you came to my stall and you believed in what I did, and you've been supporting me through and through, and you are a female, so you are just an example sitting here. I also mentioned, we share a good friend, Sue Batch.
Yes.
Sue was my boss when I started working years ago. And she still supports me up until today. And she genuinely supports me. So these are just examples of women. I mean, even at the DTI, a lot of people that I talk to there is females. CEDA, a lot of people that have helped me, that have supported me there are females. In companies, procurement departments, and whatever, there's females in those companies that are, that are keen to help.
Yes.
Last night I went to, I was invited by CEDA. I went to the gala dinner at Emperor's Palace, the Standard Bank Top Women Awards. And when I was sitting there, my mouth was like, with what women are doing out there. Women helped by other women. And what was nice as well, there's now an award about a male that is empowering people in companies, So that is being recognized as well, that there's a lot of male in huge companies that are for women empowerment. So the philosophy that I started with when I started the business, which is what I've lived, by the way, even when I was working, was growing others as you grow, lift others as you go, and empower others. I do a lot of not exhibition as such. I do exhibitions, but I also do a lot of talks just to share my story. That this is where I'm from, and this is where I am today. And my story is helping other people to say, after each and every talk, there will be a few women that will call me, and I'll say, come, let's sit, let's chat. These are the women that will be like, okay, I bake cakes over the weekend, or, I love cooking, or I love sewing stuff, or I love, then we sit and we look at her passion and say, how can we turn that into a business?
You're one of the most generous women I've ever met. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege to sit with you. Thank you very much for coming in and chatting on Beautiful Makeup.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
91.9. Playing the best old school and R&B.